Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Assetto Corsa Evo, the latest installment in the incredibly popular racing sim franchise Assetto Corsa. Now, before I get into this and actually start showing you the game, I want to have a very small rant about early access games. For the longest time, I haven't really been fazed by the fact that more and more video game developers and publishers are releasing their games as early access titles. But just recently, it has started to bother me quite a considerable amount, and this is just the latest game in a long line of games that have decided to release in an early access state rather than waiting until the product is content complete. Now, I'm not coming for 505 or Kunos in this particular instance. It's not their fault. They're just another developer who has decided to go this way. It's just a bit of a shame because I think first impressions are really important when it comes to video games. At least they are for me. If I play a game and it's not in a great state, I'm less inclined to go back and play it later. Even if they promise me that 6 months on, 12 months on, it's going to be amazing, I'm still kind of burnt by that initial first impression. And Assetto Corsa Evo is sadly suffering from that early access issue. It isn't fantastic right now, but it's frustrating because the bones feel good. It feels like this could be a good racing game, and it will be a good racing sim at some point in the future, but that point isn't now. So it comes out, you get this kind of bad impression, it gets mixed and negative reviews on Steam, and that kind of takes the wind out of the sails of a game, for me anyway. So I think early access is a bit of a plague. Maybe I'm just old, you know, I'm an old guy now, and I wish we could go back to the days of games releasing and just being ready to play. So, what does Assetto Corsa Evo offer right now in early access? Well, there's not a lot. I was actually going to get my racing wheel, pedals, and gearbox out of the attic today to play this, but then I saw what was on offer, and I thought, okay, not really a lot of content here, so probably not worth getting the entire setup out. Now, currently you can play practice and quick race. It's all single player, so there's no multiplayer options available right now. There are, I think, 5 different tracks. Yeah, Brands Hatch, GP or Indy, Imola, Laguna Seca, Suzuka, and Mount Panorama. So Suzuka is one track, but 3 different variations. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 tracks currently. A handful of cars. Now the cars have increased since yesterday. I was playing this last night when the game came out, and there was about 9 cars. Now there's a ton. So they've chucked a bunch of cars in now, which is good. Good to see that kind of reactivity straight away out of the gate. We've got a lot of different cars to play with now. Yesterday I was just driving around in the Arbath because I didn't have anything fancier. But now we have Alfa Romeos, we have BMWs, we've got Porsches, we've got Lotuses. We've got all kinds of cars now, which is nice. Now, the cars look really nice. You can change this little area, this little scene where you load into. I will say, in VR, it struggles from some kind of like... You're probably getting that on the capture. Struggles with some weird kind of shadows. Let me change the scene to the auto service because it's really obvious in there. So, can you see that? I don't know what that is. Just a weird kind of rendering, these kind of like pixely shadows. Not sure what's going on there. Now, I will show you real quick. I have the game currently set to the max settings. So I've maxed absolutely everything out. This is as good as the game really can look right now. I don't think I can do anything else to get the game looking any better. This is kind of it. So, yeah, we have a decent selection of cars, 5 tracks, practice, quick race, and then we should have special events, and we should have the driving academy where you earn your licenses. But I think those 2 parts of the game currently are network dependent, and the network is offline. Okay, I appreciate that intro was a bit lengthy because I felt the need to rant about early access games, but let's get into the meat of Assetto Corsa Evo. Let's get into some racing. Now, as you can see, again, I'm getting this strange rendering. I think it's either reflections or shadows that it's struggling to render in VR, but not all shadows, because a lot of the shadows there look absolutely fine. So maybe it is reflections, a lighting issue, not sure, but you get these kind of pixelated artifacts. It's pretty strange. Now, I've opted to drive the Abarth. I'm doing Brands Hatch, the GP layout of the track, and we're just doing a 3-lap race. Now, I am absolutely garbage at this game, but I do like the way it feels to play. I like the handling, I like the weight of the vehicles. It doesn't look as sharp as something like Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 7 on PSVR 2 is kind of still, in my opinion, as a very casual racing game enjoyer, it's kind of still the creme de la creme for me. It's kind of the cream of the crop. It's about as good as it gets, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a big racing game guy, so Gran Turismo kind of ticks a lot of boxes for me. It's quite arcadey. I haven't got to worry too much about tuning cars or anything like that. Visually, it looks great, and the handling and stuff is not too simulation to the point where I can't get around a track. I think Gran Turismo is the sweet spot for someone like me who isn't a massive racing game player or racing game enjoyer. Oh my god! I've gone off the track. I've used Brands Hatch because this is a track I've gone around a million times on Gran Turismo. So I have a very obvious point of comparison. And yeah, like for me, how tight is this corner? Oh, it's actually fine. I can go around this in 5th, right? Yeah, I can go around this in 5th. Just let off the gas a little bit. There we go. Yeah, it's just not as sharp as Gran Turismo, which is a shame because I've maxed this out on my 4090. Like, this is running on the highest settings possible. The trees have got kind of like a flickery thing going on. The shadows aren't rendering in properly. And everything just kind of looks a bit blurry and not very well defined, I would say. And it's just such a shame because like the handling, the weight of the vehicles feels great. This little Abarth feels chunky. It feels like an Abarth feels. I used to have a Fiat 500, or my wife had a Fiat 500, and wasn't quite as sporty as an Abarth, but this kind of feels like that. Kind of feels heavy. The cornering feels the same. Like, not that I whipped it round Brands Hatch, mind you. Best I did was driving to Tesco and back, but it feels good to drive the cars. Like, they feel good. It just doesn't look particularly amazing in VR when you compare it to something like Gran Turismo. We have working mirrors, which is cool. Like, so I can see that Abarth behind me, like, sneaking up on me. Sometimes. Like, right now I can't see it. I think it's a draw distance issue. I don't think the draw distance is particularly good on these mirrors. Like, I don't think... Okay, so I can see it now. It's right there. I can see it in both my mirrors. So it is right behind me. But sometimes I can't see it. Well, I'm not going to see it now because he's bloody overtaken me. Oh, I can see that one. Collision. Bit of collision. Yeah, collisions feel good as well. Got to gear up. Okay, this corner got me last time. There you go. Go into 3rd. Get round, get round, get round. It's so hard to come on and make a video about an early access title and say definitively whether it's good or not because it's not a finished product. It's a demo that you pay for is definitely my opinion on early access. Like, you're helping to shape the future of this game. If you buy into it, you're helping the development team to develop future updates. You're paying for those future updates, kind of, in a kind of simplified way. Probably an oversimplified way. It's just not finished. I'm getting absolutely stomped here, by the way. Like, I am shit at racing games, but I really like them in VR. VR turns racing games from... Oh! I geared down. I shifted down rather than up. It turns racing games from something that I would just never usually pay any attention to and wouldn't really give much time of day into something that I find really escapist and really enjoyable. Even if I'm crap at them. Like, I love just whipping around a track in VR, especially if it looks good and the mirrors work and... Oh! Alright, lads! Okay! Can we go into reverse? There we go. Put it in reverse. Whip it round. Gear up. Let's go. Oh, I might actually overtake some people. I might actually get back into this race. Now, I know the Quest 3 isn't the most top of the range, high resolution, go-to choice for racing sims in VR on PC. I know that it isn't the best solution for that kind of thing, but it's a decently high resolution PCVR headset, and I would expect a game running on maxed out settings on a 4090 to look sharper than this does. It just looks quite artifacty. Especially things at a distance, so like the crowd, the fences, that building, all of that looks pretty shimmery, I have to say. Like it's kind of got like a wobbly shimmer to it. It's like everything's kind of slightly moving. Like if you've ever played a VR mod like Cyberpunk 2077 in VR, everything kind of has this shimmer around the edges. It looks a bit like that. Things up close, like the dashboard, the interior of the car, it looks pretty good. It's just not as well lit and high res as, again, something like Gran Turismo 7, and I'm gonna keep referencing that because that's my biggest point of comparison. Because I think that is a very good looking game on PSVR 2, very sharp. Everything, even in the distance, looks really, really good. But I can see things. Oh, I can see things rendering in here in the distance. So yeah, not the best looking VR racing sim I've ever played, but it also doesn't look terrible. I've definitely played worse looking VR racing sims on PC. 100%. Okay, now the rain does look cool, but it doesn't look realistic. And like the smoke kicking off the back of the cars looks really kind of basic. Like the rain spray looks very low res. It feels atmospheric though. It does feel atmospheric. And I'm actually in a car that can go faster than like 40 miles an hour now, which is nice. Get around that corner on the outside, come on, come on. This is the Audi RS, I think. Yeah, I don't think this looks realistic at this point. The spray off the back of the cars looks really low res, and a little bit distracting. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. Oh, sorry, everyone. Oh, yeah, sorry. Really sorry about that. Alright, I'll get off the barrier, I promise. There we go. I'm away from the barrier now. Now, one thing that's really cool is the damage that's represented when you're driving. Like, I've messed this car up now, and I can't turn. I can't do anything. And you're seeing that there, like, it's lighting up like a Christmas tree. So it is, you know, attempting to be a proper sim racer with a steering wheel and pedals. Like, if I'd got my steering wheel, my pedals, my gearbox down from the attic to play this today, would have been a really cool experience, but there's just barely any content. It didn't feel like it was worth it until they add a little bit more to the game. Okay, yeah, I cannot drive at all. I cannot turn, really. I've destroyed the car. It's gone. Right, this is going to be interesting to see what kind of performance impact the rain had, because it felt like the game was really struggling to maintain a decent frame rate then in the rain. But here, without the rain, that immediately feels much better. Much, much better. And I can pull away straight away into that first corner. Gear down again, gear up. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a good racing sim. There's the good bones of a racing sim here. It could become something good, but it's really hard to recommend when it isn't a finished product. And there are better, content-complete racing sims out there. I mean, just grab one of the older Assetto Corsas, play that, whilst you wait for Evo to get to a point where it's ready for people to dive into. I mean, they've planned a ton of content for it. There's like an open world free roam mode coming out. Obviously no multiplayer right now, and that's such a big portion of a racing sim. Like, you can only play these 5 tracks on your own right now, just whizzing around in the cars that you're given. You can do the driving academy, but only when the servers are up, because it seems to be connected to the servers. And there are some special event races that you can do as well, which again seem to be connected to the servers. If the servers aren't up, you cannot access that content. So that car is right on my bumper. There's fun to be had here. Like, the racing is good, the handling is good. I like the way the cars feel as a casual racing game enjoyer. But it's hard to recommend it in this state based on just the amount of content there is. Unless you are... Ah, no! Gear down, gear down, gear down, gear down, gear down, gear down. Oh, you actual bitch. You actual bitch. Why? Oh, okay, at least you're here with me. That's fine. See you later, mate. Man, I thought I was doing quite good in this one. And then it all went wrong, and now my car's damaged again. And we're just bombing it down this road at 250 miles an hour. Is that miles an hour? That seems insane. No, kilometers per hour. I was going to say miles an hour, like a rocket ship. Yeah, I mean... Oh, no! No, no, no! Yeah, it's all gone wrong. Audio design is really good. I do like the audio, like... And it kind of peters off. So just then I must have had loads of like gravel under the car. And even when I got back on the track and started driving here, you could still hear it like flicking off gravel for a little while, and then it kind of gets quieter and less as the gravel dissipates. There's a lot of stuff to love, but it's just early access, man. Right, let's see if I can drive this Ferrari before I wrap up this video. I like that it's got this little monitor here rather than a mirror. Obviously it wouldn't have a mirror because you don't have like a back. You wouldn't be able to see out of anything because there's no back window. That's cool. Like, all these little touches is really authentic. It feels good. It does look good. Just considering that it isn't performing particularly well, I can feel frame drops. I would expect it to look a lot better. It doesn't it doesn't look good enough to warrant the drops in performance that I'm getting. And yeah, I get it. I have maxed everything out and I could drop things down, but you would expect it to look better than this maxed out if I'm getting the performance issues. If you see what I'm saying? It just, yeah, the visuals don't kind of warrant the performance drops. Right, I don't think I'm going to be able to drive this. How many gears does this have? Like, just an obscene amount, I imagine. And I imagine I have to gear up immediately, like, to, like, 3 straight away. There we go. 6th gear already. That was insane. That was insane. Right, this is Assetto Corsa Evo. It's in early access right now. And it has around... There's a bunch of cars now. There were supposed to be 20 cars to play with, but there's much more than that now. There's around 5 tracks, or there are 5 tracks. There's a driving academy, which you can play when the servers are online. When the servers are offline like they are right now, you don't seem to have access to that. And then there's special races, which are also tied to the online servers. It's very bare bones in terms of content if you're looking at getting into this right now. If you just want a VR racing experience and you don't already own one of the previous Assetto Corsa games or Project Cars, you know, there are other content-complete racing games out there that will probably scratch that itch for you. If you already own those games and you're just dying for something new, I'd probably still say don't buy into Evo just yet. Wait for that finished update, or wait for a few more content drops. Because right now, it is very bare bones, and it isn't the prettiest looking racing sim I've ever played in VR. It looks fine, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's also just not the best. There are artifacts, there are flickering shadows, the resolution isn't super high, it doesn't look as sharp as it probably should on a 4090 maxed out. Handling feels good, cars feel good to drive, like this feels good to drive. I don't really have any complaints with the way the cars feel. I just wish it wasn't releasing in early access, because it's so hard to say whether something's definitively good or not when you're only seeing 15% of the content. I would say that right now in early access, can't do that corner. It probably isn't worth grabbing. It's worth waiting until we've had a few more updates and the content is there, because even on special offer for like £25 UK, I think it is right now, yes, you will get the finished game cheap because you bought it at that price, but right now, I don't think there's £25 worth of content here. In the future, obviously there will be, but it's whether you want to make that investment. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, please do leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, and all that good stuff. I hope at the very least the capture of this looks nice. Nice and smooth. Oh no! Ah! Nah, screw it. Don't worry about it. Corners are just for skipping. I've played enough Mario Kart to know that shortcuts are a good thing.